Greetings, drug war refugees. I am Patrick Smith. Welcome to Disenthrall. Today I wanted to do a quick as possible response to a video on created by Tim Pool. Tim Pool is a prolific YouTube current events and news commentator. Link to his channel in the description. He is more on the left side. He would self-identify as a left libertarian, though I still find some of his commentary pretty good, and I do follow him. I am a subscriber. We have to subscribe to people that we don't completely agree with if we are to have a realistic view of the world. He is one of the more fair and balanced news sources that I have found. So today he released a video commenting on an article covering the murder in Acapulco, Mexico, of the anarchist John Galton, who, as people in the anarcho-capitalist community and people that are interested and follow along with the Acapulco event, you're probably familiar with. The purpose of my video today is to not go into those details because that's already been done by people much closer to those sources who will probably have a lot more detailed information on it. The purpose of my response to Tim's video today is to correct what I think are some inaccuracies on his representation of the Acapulco event, anarcho-capitalism, and some of the details surrounding the need for government and the need for public government-provided security services. Doing response videos can sometimes be difficult because this is a 16-minute video of his and I don't want to play the entire thing for you, so I'm going to just try and cut out the bits that are worth responding to, and if you'd like to see his video for full context, again, I will put the link in the description for you. So let's get started.
This woman, it's called Acapulco, and I have friends who talk about going there. A lot of anarchists, and it's not necessarily far left anarchists. It's kind of just like general anarchists. So it could be anarcho-capitalists or it could be left-wing anarchists. It's just people who want to get away from government. And I've had arguments with a lot of these people because I really do understand the importance of borders, of security, of the rule of law, and it's why I'm not an anarchist. And I was when I was younger. I don't know if I'm going to play this video because it's truly terrifying, and my heart goes out to this woman and to her friends. I can only imagine what the experience it must be, so.
Just really quickly, I wanted to interject. First of all, absolutely our hearts go out to this woman and of course the deceased, and I will also put links in the description to, I believe, crypto addresses where you can donate if you want to help her out in the situation that she has been placed in. The other thing I wanted to mention is that, at least from my perspective, and I was a speaker at Acapulco this year, I did not see a great deal of left anarchism at the event. It seems to be, if anything, voluntarist or anarcho-capitalistic, very much not communistic. Now, there might be a few of those types there, but I would definitely not say that it's a balanced mix.
Essentially, my understanding is these people, they're in Acapulco, this community. Someone storms in their house.
So this is probably just him not being actually familiar with the situation. The people that were affected by the shooting, there isn't a place called Acapulco. Acapulco is an event that happens for about a week out of the year at a specific resort on the beach in Acapulco. This woman and her boyfriend and the friend that was shot live in Acapulco, in what I'm told is one of the worst parts of the city, one of the most dangerous parts of town, outside of the resort area that is generally more safe because obviously tourism and they want tourists to be safe. So even the cartels will leave that area alone. So it's not like she lives at Acapulco. Acapulco is just an event, happens once a year and then it's over. And, there are some people that have chosen to move to Acapulco. I just want to make sure that there is a distinction that is maintained between Acapulco, the event, and Acapulco, the city that has some murder problems in the bad parts of town, like a great many cities in the world do.
and murders her boyfriend in front of her. So let's read the story. Murder in Acapulco. Girlfriend posts terrifying video after American anarchist, marijuana activist, Bitcoin trader partner is shot dead by gunmen in their enclave in violence-ridden Mexico tourist resort. An American woman posted a chilling video on social media in which she describes the murder of her anarchist boyfriend by assailants in the Mexican resort town of Acapulco. The woman, who says she's the victim's partner, Lily, said via social media that she saw the gunman go straight for her boyfriend, who she calls John Galton. I believe that may be a reference to Atlas Shrugged. I don't know if that's the real name, who is John Galt. And his friend Jason Henza, 43. Lily was later confirmed to be a woman who goes by the name Lily Forrester. Both Lily and John are anarchists who in early 2016 fled drug charges in the U.S. Henza made it to a private hospital with bullet wounds in his armpit, leg, and hand. The hospital said he checked out that same day. The shootings shocked the tight-knit anti-establishment community of expatriates that organizes events in the retreat with seminars on topics such as how to make money via cryptocurrencies. I've been invited to come down.
So specifically, really quickly, Lily and her boyfriend, I believe, were organizing an event that happens after the Anarchapulco event called Anarchaforco. I know these are details that are somewhat nuanced to the point where mainstream media and even Tim should not really be expected to catch them in advance, but it bears pointing out.
And meet with a lot of these people. And I gotta say, I'm a left libertarian, which means I tend to lean away from government and authority. But I think you can go. It's why I'm not an anarchist, right? The bottom of the political compass, all the way to the libertarian spectrum, is anarchist, and you can be far left anarchist, far right anarchist, centrist, or anywhere in between. And many of the people in my understanding in Acapulco range from left to right. Now, typically when you'll see like far left anarchists, they're actually communists. So they're not really, it's kind of, many of the people who claim to be anarcho-communists aren't really, because they believe in using physical force, exerting authority over others, and that's just not what...
Okay, so he nails that.
...real left anarchy is. The true, lefty anarchist community, they kind of just sit around and talk about how things should be done, and it's rather ineffective in a lot of ways. And then the anarcho-capitalists, it gets kind of dangerous, in a certain sense. All anarchy, in my opinion, is dangerous in that you have, who do you call, So
I want to point out that his problem with anarcho-capitalism is that it's dangerous, and you don't have someone to call if something dangerous is happening. But listen to what comes next.
So when it comes to anarcho-capitalists, there could be private security, there could be things like that. And to an extent, private security could exist essentially close to the left anarchist position, but I kind of doubt it. It's more of a communal support. The main issue I have is that, look, we know what the rules are for the most part. Our system isn't perfect in the US. There are dangerous people who want to do dangerous things. Now, the first thing I think that needs to be pointed out, to be fair to the anarchists, is that even in the US, this happens. There is no guarantee that a police force, that a government is going to be able to protect you. That said, to the anarchists who live in these communities, I think one of the strongest arguments in favor against these laws, I should say, is that there's a lot of gun control laws, and I don't know why this is not a fact to everybody, but if someone breaks into your home, approaches your boyfriend, and executes them, the police won't be there for quite some time. If you live in a big city, they can get there within minutes, maybe 5 to 10 minutes, and that's something that...
Okay, so anarcho-capitalism is dangerous because who are you going to call? Well, even with massive, intrusive government paid for coercively by thieves and extortionists that work for the IRS, at least in this country, who, let's ignore for the moment, is part of one of the gangs that you need defense from as a self-owning individual, even with that coercive system in place, even with police in place, who are you going to call? Somebody breaks into your house. There is no magical device that I can pick up in my hand and hit some buttons or call security services that will teleport into my living room to defend me in time. Even in a city where their response time is not as good as the response time that he mentioned, at least in the cities that I'm familiar with. But they show up after the fact, after it's over, after whatever deed has been done most of the time. So you can't use that as justification for a coercive taxation system that is then used to fund people that are given insane powers that are above reproach to quote unquote protect us. Another important point is that it's often this police force that we're robbed to pay for that does the attacking, that does the harming, that we need protection from. Recently in Houston, I mean, I could do this at any point in time. It happens so often, but very close to my home here in Dallas, in Houston, we had the police force there based on the drug war, which is based on victimless crimes. They have no business and no moral right to use force on peaceful people that are putting substances in their body that politicians' scribbles disapprove of. Based on these politicians' scribbles, based on these laws, the police will smash people's door down and end up murdering everyone in the building, only to find out even later that the cop that wrote the application for the warrant to the judge lied his ass off completely. Innocent people murdered in the name of an unjust war. We're not safe here. That's the first important point. The second important point is that the people that supposedly protect us here are very much like the gang that committed the murder of Lily's boyfriend in Acapulco. He was killed based on sources that I trust, that have direct communication with the head of the group that did this crime, that did this murder. They are cartel members, and they were upset at Lily's boyfriend for selling drugs on their turf. And apparently they warned him, and this is not firsthand knowledge, but this is knowledge from someone that I trust that has direct communication. So what you have here, so the reason why Lily and her boyfriend were in Mexico is because of the drug gang here that was prosecuting them and threatening their life and threatening to put them in a cage and threatening to murder them if they resisted being caged for it. The reason they left America was because the drug gang here was a threat to them. So they moved to Acapulco, where a different drug gang was also a threat to them for peaceful behavior. So there's an equivalency between the two locations. There's a gang of people that think they have the right to use violence to enforce rules surrounding drugs and the peaceful transaction of this product. So to equate those two in a way that that calls one like a just protective service that is part of polite and peaceful society, and this one over here is, well, of course, anarchists, that's what you get. You run away from government, you're going to get lawlessness and death. No. They left this country because the drug gang in this country was threatening them, and ended up getting in trouble with another drug gang.
So in terms of, what happened here, I think one of the challenges is that when you live in places like this, it's much easier to get away with repeatedly committing crimes against, anarchist communities. Although eventually people will be on the lookout for you, there's no organized network of police, who can actually, stop this person in the long run.
Okay, so ignoring the previous arguments that I've made so far about the public, community, rightful police, lawful police, also being criminals in their own right that have to be ran from, it is true that there is not currently a private or free market version of this because it's outlawed, because it is illegal to compete with government police in Acapulco and in America and in Texas and in pretty much everywhere in this country. Think about what I'm saying. If I try and start my own police force that would be voluntarily funded, it would be like Netflix for security. If I tried to start that company, the existing Blue Line gang would use laws as a justification for using violence on me to prevent me from doing that. So it is a non sequitur. It is invalid. It is a bad argument to say that Well, the anarcho-capitalists living without coercive, force-funded government don't have organized, coordinated police and security forces. That's why we need government. That's what you need government for, to provide those things. Sorry, it's the government and those police that are threatening violence to prevent us from competing with them. They're the biggest thing in my life right now that I need protection from. Yes, Tim is very accurately and astutely pointing out that the world is a much more dangerous place than most people, especially living in America, are aware of. That said, I am at far more risk day to day, hour to hour, minute to minute of being attacked and caged by the lawful law enforcers here in this country than I am from criminals in dark alleys in the worst parts of town.
Once again, just another story of how terrifying the world can really be, and why it's important to be calm, collected, but truly understand why security, national security, why borders, why law enforcement, why these things are important. I assure you, you do not want to live in these countries. I assure you, America really is a wonderful place for all of its faults that need to be fixed, for all of the problems that I believe need to be fixed, that I will praise the activists for trying to fix. Let's never lose sight of how good we really have it. Stick around.
So I agree with the truth that this is a wonderful place to live compared to most of the other options that are available. But his government and his idea of what I need to be forcibly taxed to pay for is part of the things that I need defense from. And I'm held as a helpless victim, unable to form competing security to defend myself from his idea of what government is necessary. Government such as laws he's been calling recently, this is unrelated, and I won't go into it in too much detail, but recently he's been on Joe Rogan's podcast, talking to the CEO of Twitter, talking about how he is in favor of laws regulating private companies to force them to allow speech that they don't want to allow on their platform. He wants government to point their guns at peaceful people for behavior that he doesn't like. And he's got plenty of reasons, just like he does for police and borders and all this other stuff. He's got reasons, but none of the reasons rise to the level of a counter argument to the very simple moral, ethical reality that violating a person's consent, especially in the way of taxation, is immoral, is evil, is non-consensual. Thanks for watching. Remember, if you enjoy this content and if you have something that you'd like to see me do commentary on, check out our website, disenthrall.me/platforms. We have a link on there to a content submission form, as well as to our Patreon and Subscribestar and Bitbacker if you want to help support the show. Please remember to like and subscribe. Talk to you soon.